You probably know the story, right? Pygmalion, or maybe you know it as the musical My Fair Lady. This classic, charming tale of a flower girl who becomes a lady. But what if I told you that its author, George Bernard Shaw, a fierce socialist, hid a blistering critique of class and capitalism right under the surface? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain and see what's really going on.
So, what are we really looking at here? Is this just a sweet little romance, or is it something way more radical? See, Shaw wasn't writing a love story. Nope, he was using Eliza Doolittle's journey to expose the cold, hard economic machine that powered the entire British class system. And that's the exact Marxist lens we're going to use to break it all down.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to hit 5 key ideas. First, we'll look at how language works as a kind of currency. Then, we'll see how Eliza becomes what you might call an alienated worker. After that, we'll dive into the brutal economics of the marriage market. Then we'll get into the so-called morality of the poor. And finally, we'll land on Shaw's big punchline, the idea that the whole concept of class is just a performance. Okay, first up, language as capital. In the world Shaw paints, your accent can literally be worth more than the cash in your pocket. It's not about what you own, it's all about how you talk. That sound you make can either chain you to the bottom or be your golden ticket to the top. Now, to really get this, we have to talk about a core Marxist concept, economic determinism. It sounds a little academic, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It just means that your economic situation, how much money you have or don't have, basically determines everything else about your life. Your behavior, your beliefs, your future, it's all shaped by your wallet. In Pygmalion, this isn't just a theory, it's the law of the land. And look at this breakdown. It's so clear. You've got Eliza's curbstone English on one side, that's the language of the proletariat, the working class, and it basically acts like a giant keep out sign. Then on the other side, proper English. Now Marxists have a great term for this, cultural capital. It's not actual money, but it might as well be. It's the way you speak, your education, all the stuff that gives you a leg up. So what Henry Higgins is doing, he's not just teaching her phonetics, he is literally minting her a new kind of currency that can buy her way into a whole different world. So that leads us right into our next point, Eliza as the alienated worker. Because, this big transformation, it isn't free. It comes at a huge human cost. From a Marxist perspective, what's happening to Eliza is that she's being turned from a living, breathing person into, well, a product. And this is a perfect way to visualize it. It's like a factory assembly line, isn't it? Higgins and Pickering take their raw material, this flower girl, they retool her with all these intense lessons, and out comes this polished, perfect, finished product to be shown off. But here's the tragedy. In the process, she becomes completely alienated. She doesn't fit in with her old life anymore, but she doesn't truly belong in this new one either. She's stuck in this terrible limbo. And this is the absolute crux of her problem. She has become a product with no market. I mean, think about it. She can talk the talk and walk the walk of a duchess, but she is flat broke. She can't go back to selling flowers in the gutter, but she has absolutely zero money to actually survive in the world of the rich. She's been completely and utterly displaced. So where does that leave her? Well, it leads us to maybe the most scathing critique in the entire play, the marriage market. I mean, seriously, what is a newly made lady with no income supposed to do to survive? If she can't sell flowers anymore, what can she sell? And this is the moment it all clicks for Eliza, and it is absolutely horrifying. She realizes the only commodity she has left to trade for her own financial security is herself. This new, respectable life she's been given actually comes with a price tag that's 1,000,000 times more degrading than her old one ever was. And her own words are just a gut punch. You don't have to take my word for it. Listen to her. She's directly equating the upper-class marriage market with prostitution. As a flower girl, sure, but she was an independent worker selling a product. As a lady, she sees her only option as selling her independence for a husband's money. It's absolutely brutal. All right, let's switch gears and talk about one of the play's best characters, Eliza's father, Alfred Doolittle. Shaw basically uses him as a megaphone for this next idea, that what the upper classes call morality is really just a luxury item, one that the working poor simply can't afford. And this quote just lays it all out on the table. Doolittle completely rejects what he calls middle-class morality. He's basically saying, you think you're a better person than me? No, you just have more money than me. For him, your so-called morals are just a side effect of having a full belly and a warm bed. It's not a choice. It's just pure economic necessity. And here's the brilliant, ironic twist. Doolittle's theory gets proven right. He suddenly inherits a fortune. And what happens? He's completely miserable. All of a sudden, he's trapped by the very middle-class morality he used to mock. He has to get married, people are constantly asking him for money, he has to worry about his reputation. His newfound wealth is a cage, and it proves his point perfectly. This morality is a burden, not a virtue. So this all builds to Shaw's final, and I think most explosive critique, the knockout blow. He argues that the very concept of class, the thing this entire society is built on, is nothing more than a performance. It's an artificial sham. And the proof is in the pudding at the ambassador's ball. This scene is just genius. Eliza doesn't just pass as an aristocrat. They think she's the most aristocratic person in the entire room. A so-called expert is so fooled by her performance, he decides she can't possibly be English. No, she must be Hungarian royalty. And why? Because her English is just too perfect. It's a complete farce, and it exposes how silly the whole thing is. So the ultimate message from Shaw is crystal clear. If a flower girl from the gutter can be mistaken for a princess just by changing her clothes and her accent, well then the whole idea of an inherent blue-blooded superiority is total nonsense. Class isn't a birthright, it's an act. And this brings us right back to that core Marxist theory. So Marxists see society as having an economic base. That's the money, the property, the means of production. Everything else, culture, manners, language, is the superstructure that's built on top of that base. What Higgins did was give Eliza the elite superstructure, but he never gave her the economic base to support it. So she's left floating on this cultural island. And it proves a devastating point. In a capitalist society, culture without capital is just another kind of cage.
You know, Shaw's play was written over 100 years ago, but it really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Beyond just the money in our bank accounts, what forms of cultural capital, like our accents, the schools we went to, or the unspoken social rules we know, still act as these invisible barriers in our own world, defining who gets access to power and who gets left behind?